Good evening.
And welcome to Karl Marx Does the Washing Up.
I'm Shy.
And I'm Ilyas and Shy.
And today I wanted to discuss with you Postel's law.
Oh yeah, of course, my favourite.
So John Postel was this computer scientist from the States.
He's still a computer scientist.
No, he died a long time ago. But he was known as the god of the internet for a while. And he created all these laws regarding the internet. And his most famous law, I think, applies to all of life. And I'll read it to you. Are you ready?
Yeah, okay, sounds good.
Let me just find it.
You're very good at this introduction, like reading things.
Yeah, thank you. So, one should be conservative in what they do, but be liberal in what they accept from others. So let me just say that again, because I messed that up. So one should be conservative in what they do, but be liberal in what they accept from others.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that sounds good, yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, is that the end of the sentence?
That is...
One should be conservative in what they do, but liberal in what they expect.
No, accept from others.
Accept.
Yeah. So be conservative in what you do, but liberal in what you accept.
Yeah, I think that's a beautiful way to live your life. Yeah.
Yeah, but actually, I think that does resonate with me. But I think it's actually harder to do than people.
Oh yeah, it's very difficult. I think this is the hardest.
Yeah, because also I think we're much more likely to be liberal in what we do and conservative in what we accept from others.
Liberal in what we do and conservative in what we... Yeah, I think so. But it's just a focus on judgment. We're just like very good at judging other people. That's what it's about, really.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
judge other people's actions.
Yeah, really it's about just judging your own actions, and not judging others.
But I think a lot of the time we use the judgment... We use our judgments of other people in order to inform our own actions, but then we get lost in the judgment of other people and forget about our own actions.
Yeah, but also, when we judge our own actions, do we judge it with hindsight, right? We judge it, like we did this action based on, our upbringing. Whereas maybe when it comes to other people, we don't know that much about them, so all we have to judge is their action. We don't really know the context behind the action most of the time.
Yeah. So what are you doing?
Sorry, crazy. Yeah. You're not into the fidgeting.
I'm not into fidgeting.
Maybe we should do a podcast on your hatred of fidgeting.
Yeah, but I'm so fidgety.
Yeah, but also you should be conservative in what you do and liberal in what you accept of others.
Yeah, that's
so why
true.
aren't you accepting of my fidgeting?
That's so true.
Yeah, like
it's
what
such
is...
a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're about to break that shit.
Yeah, but even if I break it, you should be accepting of that.
Yeah. Well, because it's not mine. I'm just the keeper of it. I'll just fall into like.
Okay, fine. So if we take that as
I'm the governess.
Why are you finding it so hard to be liberal in your acceptance of others?
In my acceptance of others. Yeah. Liberal in my acceptance. Yeah, you're very hard. You require a lot of liberality in order to accept. But you're very liberal in accepting of other people. I think.
No, I think maybe people think I am, but I don't know how.
Because you're furious that people don't know what Gujarati is.
Yeah.
Or the letter Q.
Yeah, exactly. Like
ignorance knows no bounds.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think also I have very low tolerance for stuff like smoking. Like if someone's smoking, I'm like, actually, I don't need you in my life. Like, I just have very low tolerance for things like that.
But for what? For smoking?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like, I won't date people who smoke, for example. Like, I'm very, actually, intolerant.
But I think there's
also... people think that I'm very tolerant, but I think I'm actually a lot more conservative than people think.
I think there's maybe yeah. But maybe there's a difference in terms of...
Also, I'm not that, like... I'm not friends with people who are, like... racists or right-wing. I'm not very liberal in what I accept from other people.
We just went for dinner with Katie Hopkins. What are you talking about?
It doesn't mean that she's our friend. I'm happy to sit in the same room and have an open discussion. Doesn't mean I need to write her Christmas cards and stuff.
Oh, I signed from both of us. So, yeah, okay. That's true. I think you are. I'm mostly pretty open. I think the problem is we're very ideologically open to pretty much anything, but like there's a difference between building something into your life, right? Like, so you don't need to date somebody in order to not judge them.
Yes, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So you can just not judge their behavior, but not, in a sense, not really want it as, like, always in your face, like, every day.
Yeah. So that's what I wanted to discuss with this law. Like, I think we're quite good at implementing it for people who aren't in our friendship sphere. But when it comes to our actual immediate relationships, we're actually liberal in what we do, but very conservative in what we accept from them. Whereas outside of that friendship sphere, we are actually conservative in what we do and liberal in what we accept from them.
Yeah, I think that's true. Yeah, I think, but when somebody's like close to you, you expect a lot from them. You want a lot from them, but you also want a lot for them.
Yeah,
right?
But is it though? Do we actually want a lot for them, or is it actually a selfish desire because we want a lot for us?
Well, I think it actually ties back into kind of what you're saying about envy to some degree.
I told you envy is
everything. Because so I think this is what happens to me is that, like, I guess my sister's probably the person I have the most, like, you know, interaction with in this regard, but we judge each other quite a lot, and I find that I will judge her behaviors, and a lot of the time, I mean, there's definitely there's a fact that I genuinely care about how she behaves because I care about her well-being. But woven into all of that stuff
is this impact on you?
Huh? No, is this say a sadistic quality to actually just poke at her to make her feel like shit? I think there's an element, and that probably just comes from a personal insecurity or an envy or something like that.
And when you want to deflect that from yourself and put it onto someone else?
Yeah, or maybe just the fact that somebody knows you so well and actually points out something that is true and affects you. You maybe just don't like hearing that, or when you're with somebody who knows you very well, who can see you, then your actions become more transparent, and then you begin to see yourself more. Yeah. Right. So when you pretend to be this kind person around other people, and people buy into your kindness, but then when you're around somebody who knows you really well, and she can see that it's just envy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Then you maybe can't deal with that, vision. And I think this is quite, I don't know, I guess it's maybe only my experience, but it seems quite true to a lot of people, I think.
Yeah, but I think the way that you frame that is actually in quite a negative way. There may be a positive way to frame that. But in that you're not just poking your sister's insecurities, if we were to reframe that in a positive message, it would be you're helping her overcome her insecurities by making her discuss them.
No, because I think the intention is really important.
What's the intention?
No, but what I'm saying is sometimes the intention is genuinely it's genuinely positive.
Yeah, okay.
And sometimes it is genuinely negative. And I think it's easy to say that the reason I criticize you is because I love you and I want so much for you, which I do think is true, and it's built into that. But there's also some other shit going on.
And some of it's envy, and some of it's...
Yeah, I think there's a sadism to a lot of relationships, romantic relationships, all kinds of
friendships
and stuff. And maybe it is just grounded in a jealousy or something. I don't know what it is, but I think when you notice what the intention or the impulse is, whether it comes from this sadistic quality or whether it comes from this kind thing, if you're really just speaking a truth because you honestly feel the other person needs to hear it, then always follow that.
Yeah.
But if you're just lying to yourself, then I think and I think it's harder to discover that. And I've realized that there's often that kind of energy appears, and there's always a choice, and you can either feed it or not,
or suppress it, right?
No, I don't think it necessarily needs to be suppressed. You can even speak about that. Me and my sister will actually also sometimes I'll react from that energy aggressively and spitefully, and then I'll say, "Sorry, Sabine,
no way.
I was acting spitefully from this thing, and it was just completely unvirtuous."
But I think sister is quite a unique relationship. And I think maybe I have the same thing with my brother. I don't know how liberal we would be in accepting things from our siblings because they've had a very similar upbringing to us. So, do we expect them to have the same views as we do? Because we've had almost the same life experiences together.
Yeah. Well, I think there is a certain... I mean, for me, there's a certain forgiveness that...
comes with being a sibling.
Yeah, which other people don't get from me. Sabine will get a lot of criticism from me, but she'll get a forgiveness that very few people get.
Okay, so do you think actually... So that's really fascinating. So you think forgiveness is actually something that only comes in certain territories? You're much more likely to forgive someone like a sibling than you are to forgive a stranger, for example.
Yeah. No. Well, I can forgive a stranger very easily.
Yeah, because it's transient, right?
But also I don't know enough, and it doesn't affect me. I don't I can just
Yeah, but I mean, what if the stranger killed your sister?
Wait, okay, fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's a different thing. I thought we were saying the same action.
Yeah, okay, fine. The same.
I probably would actually find it easier to maybe forgive a stranger for killing my sister than my sister for killing a stranger. Maybe.
Yeah. I mean, that's very...
No, that's not true. That's not true. I would forgive my sister's action. I would just help her through whatever she's...
I mean, it doesn't sound like you'd help her. It sounds like you'd just poke her insecurities. Sounds like it'd be a terrible time to be your sister.
No, I think that's the one time I would actually be like, oh no, I'm totally with you.
Yeah, that stranger needed to be killed. Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah.
No, but that's like, this is a way that people think of support. People think that if you support, you just have to be like, oh yeah, killing's great. You should just kill this. Like, no. There's a way to just say like, oh shit, like this must be really hard to deal with the aftermath of this.
Yeah. And actually, and also a lot of times people just want to talk, don't they? You just need to sit and listen. I mean, we're not very good at that. Yeah. But, I mean... Wait, so if we focus on this law, right?
I don't know where you got to killing my sister from. Okay, fine.
Well, because you were like, it's so easy to forgive strangers.
Yeah,
but what if they do ridiculous actions? Like,
yeah, because generally, on my daily life that I'm referring to, it's not people just killing me left, right, and centre that I'm forgiving them for.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Or they're not killing people on the street. And
okay, fine. We'll discuss this in a forgiveness podcast. Let's focus on this law. Yeah. So, are we going to take steps where we're going to be conservative in what we do and liberal in what we accept from others? Because I think the way society is going is that we're becoming more liberal in what we do, but conservative in what we accept from others.
Yeah.
And that's the way society is going.
So.
But actually, I think if we want to achieve enlightenment, maybe it would be the other way.
Forget enlightenment, just civility.
Yeah, just civility. And for to live in a civil society, do you need to be conservative in what you do and liberal in what you accept from others?
Yeah. Well, I think the last part is more important. Liberal in what you accept from others. Conservative in what you do, I don't think is like...
absolutely necessary.
Yeah, right? Maybe virtuous in what you do. Conservative has a connotation of like... I think you can have a liberality around what you do. Yeah. But more importantly, for me personally, the crux is the liberal in what you accept from others. And I think to some degree that's what our podcast is kind of striving towards, if it's striving towards anything.
Yeah, it's this idea that we're trying to be open and liberal.
Yeah, and accepting of others. And accepting of like all kinds of shit. Stuff that I think generally society does not approve to be accepted. Yeah. And I think that's where we get maybe caught in crossfire. But I stand behind this quite strongly.
What does that mean to you, though, right? So we're liberal in what we accept of others, but... So with someone like Katie Hopkins, for example, who is a bigot and is quite racist, and she was lovely to us. Yeah. And we did provide her with a platform, but we don't endorse her views, right? So what does accepting of others mean to you?
See, I think that, it is complicated. So, because... I think there is something to be said about giving her a platform,
right?
And there's truth to that, and like I think her ideologies are causing genuine suffering. So I don't think that feeding that is positive. But what I also think is that what feeds a phenomena like Katie Hopkins or a view like that is like very. Kind of a lot of very...
It's hatred, right?
Yeah, a lot of hatred or like anger towards that sort of very overt judgment. People like that just fuel off that. It purports their ideology. It doesn't dispel it. And I think actually like...
And it's nice to have a dialogue.
Humanizing and empathy and actually like...
Creating a dialogue. Yeah. Well, like I suppose the dialogue can even exist.
Yeah.
No, I think
it gives a sort of...
It
makes it milder.
Yeah, but is that what we mean by accepting of others? Like that we're just happy to have dialogue.
Yeah, but I mean, I think generally as forgiveness as a principle,
But even forgiveness comes with like a state of privilege. Like you've got to be in a space like by forgiving someone, you are kind of saying that I'm better than you. I'm forgiving your action.
Well, you have judged something as wrong in order to forgive it.
Yeah.
But there's a way, like maybe forgiveness isn't the word, but I think generally if we should be more in a state where we are focused on forgiveness and empathy and openness rather than judgment.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
But
I'm not saying that it's easy to do those sort of things.
Can you be open, empathetic, and forgiveness without judgment? Like, the main part of empathy is, putting yourself in someone else's shoes, but that requires judgment.
Yeah, but there's a degree. Okay,
to forgive, it requires judgment. To be open requires you initially judging.
But let's say
what they're saying and then determining whether.
Okay, but you can judge something as something, but you don't need to judge it as positive or negative, right. So let's say without putting it into a very absolutist moral framework.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Which discounts their experience of reality.
Yeah, exactly, because it just takes into account one aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but I also think that what you're saying to openness is a privilege. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. And I think that's fine, but we should be forgiving of judgment as well. Judgment should be fine, but I don't think as an ideology we should be propagating judgment as a form of altruism. And I think that's dangerous.
Do you think that we do that though?
As a society, I think we do.
As a society, I think, do you and I do that?
Personally, I think this is maybe the only good thing we do. We don't do that.
Yeah?
We don't do it so much. We try not to. We try not to, which is exactly what I'm talking about. Is to just try not to do that and fail plenty.
Yeah, we do fail plenty, but
we fail plenty.
Yeah, but we do try and exist in a space where we don't judge in a positive and a negative way. But it's hard, right? It's difficult.
Yeah, it is difficult, and but I guess, I do think that I'm definitely quite an idealistic hippie who just thinks, let's just forgive everybody. And, and there's real world politics going on, and I definitely live in a privileged space.
We don't need to acknowledge it often, right? We don't need to. It doesn't impact our lives directly. I mean, it probably does, but we're just not aware of it directly. It's intangible.
But I think while a lot of people are fighting for politics and equality
and ideology
and the ideology and equality, and really trying to help people on this level, I think something that we can do, maybe it just does come from our privilege. Maybe but I think it's not a bad thing to have the privilege of openness and use that privilege. I think actually purporting, even if we don't always embody it fully ourselves, but actually purporting some idea of forgiveness over judgment, I think is a positive way to go, regardless of what we're talking about. Yeah, no,
I agree. And I think, but the issue is, at what point do you need to start judging things in a positive and negative light? I think it's all very good. It's all very well to be, forgiving and open. But I think the line, is there a line where ultimately you have to judge things in a positive and negative light?
Well, I think the thing is that we are so conditioned towards that degree that it's not. I don't think most of us are in a world where we're susceptible to not doing that enough. What do you mean? In that it's our default to judge it in a positive and negative light. That's our default, and we've been conditioned so much in that way. I think if we're gonna start working on something or purporting something, it shouldn't be to judge things more positively and more negatively.
Because that's our default anyway. Yeah.
And I'm not saying there's no value to that. I'm just saying that we do plenty of it.
But it's almost impossible not to. Even the whole Katie Hopkins things, we still had to judge it after we'd done it in a positive and negative light, didn't we?
Yeah.
It wasn't enough just to do it. We then had to discuss whether, we should release it. Is it a negative thing or is it a positive thing?
Yeah, but that's because we have a relentless addiction to intellectual masturbation.
Yeah, exactly. No, you're right. But so what I really struggle with, like I said, is just that, outside of my sphere, I'm very happy to be liberal in what I am accepting from others. But I think in my sphere, I'm not accepting in what I accept from others. And I think that's something I'm trying to get better at. And I don't know how to, actually.
Yeah, me too. I mean, I think I've been working on this for quite a while.
Yeah, but I don't think...
It's really difficult.
It's really difficult, but it makes me think that some of these things are almost innate within us, or I don't know if they're ingrained from such a level that they're so hard to break free of.
Yeah.
And I do...
Well, I don't know, what really, hit me quite hard is, my ex-girlfriend once said, because I used to find it difficult that she would judge other people. And she would just say, it's better to keep your judgment outside where nobody gets really affected by it on other people than bring it inside So she was quite forgiving of like actions within
Yeah.
like our relationship, but of other people. And I found it really difficult to forgive her judgment of other people. Because these were things that I would never judge. I just like, I was it's so easy for me to forgive them. But if she exhibited the same behavior, I would not find it easy for her.
Yeah.
And
but does that just come down to expectations, like you said? We just expect more from people in our sphere.
Yeah, but I think reframing that is, I always thought it's like, you know,
that's a really
it's better to
reframing, right?
Yeah.
So keeping judgments outside rather than inside.
Yeah, I mean, ideally we'd get rid of all judgment.
Yeah.
All this kind of, but like, I think, I'm not saying get rid of any kind of judgment, like just eat mushrooms that kill you. But I'm saying that the judgment has to be underlined with compassion, otherwise it doesn't really have any genuine like productivity. I mean, it can have productivity, but it doesn't have like a positive function. And we just need to be honest about how compassionate that.
Yeah, but so much of our society is predicated on people watching.
People watching.
Yeah, people watching. And people watching is like an inherently judgmental activity.
Yeah.
Like, so much of what anyone does is just watching other people. But I think I don't know if we judge it in a compassionate way or we just judge it in quite a brutal way.
I think sometimes there's within it, or maybe where it comes from, is an idea to genuinely develop ourselves, right? So you look at other people, you how do I want to create who I am and how do I want to cultivate my life? And then you look at other people and you see behaviors that are causing them harm and causing other people harm. So you judge those so that you don't mimic them.
Yeah, but
right?
Is it though? Is it just so that you don't mimic them?
No, I don't think it's just that. I think that might become
like a safety thing. Or is that the way we explain it?
No, that might be the way we started doing something, but then we get lost in the judgment and we forget about ourselves and we get... Because there's a sensuality to judging.
You think it's actually a sensual thing?
Well, there's a sadistic sensuality to judging.
You think it's a sensual thing or you think it's an essential thing?
No. Sensual, like sexual.
Yeah, I know, I get it. But you don't think it's also an essential element to it?
No.
Like we need it to survive?
We need judgment to survive, like not eating the wrong mushrooms.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? But I don't think we need to... we don't need to call that person a whore in order to survive. I don't think there's any...
I mean, you might do if that person is a whore and you think that they have got an STD. You calling them a whore might warn somebody from not sleeping with them and not catching an STD.
Okay, that's a very good. It's a very good kind of.
It's a very unique extrapolation of.
No, but there's definitely truth to that. You're like you know a lot of time you don't want to go down a certain alleyway because you think it's
exactly.
safe or something like that. But I think that's maybe different. That's like a certain instinct. We need to get rid of the judgment and return to instinct.
Yeah.
But
you think judgments take us away from instinct? Judgments aren't just the vocalizations of instinct.
No, I think judgments take us away from instinct, and sometimes we pretend our judgment is instinct, and that's dangerous.
Oh, because then also we take it as truth.
Yeah. We like, it's just my instincts. I follow my instincts.
No,
you're just
my
instinct a racist.
That person is a bad person. Yeah, but really you're just racist. Yeah, exactly. No, I agree. So wait, what are we going to do to start living our lives in a way that we accept more things from others? That we're more liberal in what we accept from others?
I don't know. How do we do that? I think you just do it. I think with a lot of these things, you just do it. Yeah,
and you actually don't think about it, do you? You just start doing it.
You just try and do it. Like, I think a lot of the time we're just not committed to these things because of the essential narcissism that comes with judging.
Yes, exactly.
And like...
Is that the phrase? The sensual narcissism that comes with judging.
Yeah. I feel like I definitely experience essential narcissism that comes with judging. But it always comes and fucks me in the ass.
Why? Because you realise that you're not actually any better than anyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm worse. I'm the one judging. Right? They're just behaving. They might be judging something else, but like in this moment, like I know with a lot of my like art, I'll sometimes I create from a very pure place where I'm just really in this state. And then other times I get all worked up because I'm like trying to judge my own work through the eyes of other people. And then as I start doing that, I start judging other people's work through the eyes of my own work.
That's when you drive. Envy's the driver of everything, remember?
Yeah, it is for sure. But the fact that you start judging other people's work and you start judging other people's work and you start judging your work, like imagining other people's thing, it completely blocks the process.
Yeah.
Because the dominating voice...
exactly. You're not connected to the other people. You're not connected to your work, right?
Yeah, but the dominating voice is not love. The dominating voice is like
envy.
Yeah, envy, exactly.
Yeah. No, but I mean, but having said that,
narcissism. Some kind of like, I don't know.
Yeah, narcissism. I mean, I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing. Like I said, envy, I think, is the driving force between all of the good work that is created.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with that. And I do feel like most of the good work in my life, the things that I've done, were not out of envy.
Yeah,
they were out of...
is that because you haven't created any good work?
Yeah. But the less bad work, the least bad work that I've done was free of envy.
Yeah, exactly.
But also, all the bad work I've done is like it's like part of a big project, which is going to be my greatest work. My magnum opus is like a big stream of terrible work that puts a mirror to the society of terrible postmodern
work
demise. Yeah,
I'm quite excited to see this opus. I mean, obviously, it will never be finished.
Of course, no. Terrible work is a constant process.
Yes,
it's endless.
Exactly. But I think something that I really struggle with is that I'm a lot more accepting of things that you do than I would be from someone I was dating or from some of my other friends.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And I don't know why you occupy a different space in the sphere compared to others. And that might be the same for you.
No, it is the same. It is the same for me. And
yeah.
I've actually thought about this a lot because it's weird because you do a lot of stuff that I just would not be that forgiving of.
Yeah, exactly. Like bad timekeeping and stuff, right?
Yeah, you'll be 4 hours late. I really don't care.
Yeah, exactly.
But
yeah, and I'm the same. Remember I was telling you that I was telling like my friend that they need to stop being on time because it was annoying me when I'm like never on time.
That was just the most insane thing
exactly.
that I ever heard in my life. That you thought, yeah. Well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it is. I think for me, I feel like it's really the things that I don't necessarily like about your personality, or not that I don't like, but the aspects of your personality that affect me in a way that is negative, or upset me. I can see them really connected to all the positive aspects of your personality that give so much to me.
Yeah, but it's interesting.
And they're so intrinsic. Yeah. I see them like I don't need to think like from this like interesting empathetic view to connect these two. I just see them.
Yeah, but it's interesting that we can see that in each other, but we don't necessarily see that in other people in our friendship group.
Yeah. I don't know, like, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, but
is it because we know each other well, or?
Yeah, but I wouldn't say we know each other. We've only known each other for a couple of years, right?
So I know my sister and people way back. I have friends, and I'm not forgiving in the same way.
Yeah, and I think but maybe that's what it does come down to, right? You need to see one's negative aspects in light of their positive aspects. And maybe that's something that we struggle to see in everyone. Maybe they're more separate in other people.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you feel that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for you, they're sort of very apparent.
Yeah,
like they're connected.
Yeah, and same with me for you. Yeah,
but I think also like your positives my experience of your positives overwhelms my experience of your negatives, even though they come from the same place.
Yeah, but I'm sure other people have a very different view of me, right? I'm sure my negatives overwhelm my positives.
But also your negative, what I'm calling your negatives, I don't consider them to be negative. They're not actually inherently negative. They're just qualities that I can find sometimes upsetting.
Yeah.
But I know that
they're linked to the positives.
Yeah, and also like me being able to, I think me having exposure to deal with those is a positive experience for me. So I may be very forgiving of it because you're teaching me how to behave more in that way.
Okay, that's fascinating. But then why don't we apply that same logic to everyone in our lives?
I don't know why it's harder to do that with other people.
Yeah. Like I wonder if any of our audience members do it with their partners, right? Like
romantic relationships are much more difficult, right?
But in romantic relationships it's same that we're not as forgiving. Like I'm a lot less forgiving. Yeah, I'm a lot less forgiving. Yeah. I'm a lot more forgiving with you than I am in any romantic relationship.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because I just don't recognise the negative aspects as akin to the positive aspects of their personality. I don't recognise them as the same people.
Yeah. But still, why do we see that in other people? Because it's not like we're not distinct from other people in that way. Everybody behaves in this way.
Maybe
really don't.
Maybe because we live in a space where there's no expectations
from each other. Yeah, I think there are though. There are expectations. Yeah, I think but it seems like you create that sort of structure of a relationship with most people. Maybe I only have it. Maybe you only created it with me because that's how I. But I feel like sometimes I'm maybe like, but what is this? This feels like very uninvested.
This relationship.
Yeah, or sometimes, but I kind of in my head think that you approach a lot of relationships in a very uninvested way.
Yeah, but maybe... Yeah,
but at the same time, we actually do spend a lot of time and invest a lot of time in it.
Yeah, but also, maybe it's because I just don't attribute the words to relationships that we often attribute. Like, I'm not... Yeah. I don't attribute the same language. I'm like... You know, you're my best friend and stuff like that. I don't often feel the need to say those things.
Well, I think one time, we did record... I don't think we released it, but there was one time you said... we were talking about intimacy, and you were just like, yeah, but maybe that's just not the purpose of our relationship. And that sort of upset me a little.
Really? You think we should have an intimate relationship?
No, it just felt like that maybe... Did you say that, you know, like, we're like best friends, and then, but the... You know, it's just like, you know, but that's just not what our relationship's for. As in...
Yeah. Well, what is our relationship for?
I don't know. I don't think I would have like confined it to something like that. I wouldn't say it like that. But I think like a friendship should have a genuine. But at the same time, I feel like you're one of the most loving people in my life. It's not like
yeah. But I just
like if I have a problem with something, I'll call you up.
Yeah, but I won't pick up.
Yeah. Okay, that's true. Yeah. But maybe that's what I'm like. That idea that. I don't know if that affects things. It feels like there's a...
Yeah, but it's interesting that if you consider me a loving being, and maybe that's why you're more accepting of my negative qualities. So maybe
at the base, yeah. At the base
is at the base, yeah. But then also you consider your sister to be a loving being, but you're less forgiving of her.
Yeah.
And I consider you to be a loving being, and I'm forgiving of you, but I still consider other people in my life to be loving beings.
Yeah. I actually think so. Sabrina doesn't feel like I'm forgiving of her. Or maybe she does, I don't know. But I don't think she does. That forgiving... But I feel like I am quite forgiving of her.
Is she forgiving of you? Like, is she liberal in what she accepts from you?
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I'm not sure if I should talk too much about her, but I think she's pretty forgiving of me.
Yeah, but actually, I don't know if my parents are very forgiving of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My parents. Yeah.
I think they expected more from their son, but they're very forgiving of what I bring to the table.
I think my parents are pretty
forgiving. Yeah.
But I think, so maybe there's that love that...
Like, transcends...
Yeah, well, if you... At the end of the day, I'm sure that Shy will find his most loving form, because that's what he is. He's a loving form that maybe hasn't figured out how to love fully. Yeah. But he's a loving form trying to do that. And
that's still quite a judgmental statement, though, right?
It's a judgmental
loving being, right?
Yeah, it's still judgmental, but it's like a judgment that... offers forgiveness and compassion.
Yeah.
I'm also not sure if this is true. I'm just like trying to create a thesis for why we actually are forgiving of each other, but nobody else.
But nobody else, exactly. And I think that's something we really need to overcome for us to have a successful relationship.
But I think we should be more forgiving of other people, not less forgiving of ourselves.
Yeah. So we should take this same approach to all relationships in our lives.
Yeah. But I think you've taught me how to do that.
You're just not implementing it.
No, I think I am implementing it. I genuinely think that you have taught me to rewire or restructure kind of the way let's say something like time, which is quite arbitrary. Like why is somebody late?
Yeah.
Like, I don't value that in consideration, right? But you taught me that there is like this beautiful freedom that from you being late, you offer... like everybody in your life, a freedom to be late, right? And a freedom to, just a relaxedness of being from you being late. And being able to see that allowed me to apply that to everybody else in my life. Like, like the girl I was dating, a while ago, then I was just like, it really didn't bother me that she was late. And because you recontextualized that for me.
Yeah, and then actually it allows them to be more relaxed, right?
Yeah. So I think I have applied the forgiveness that you've inspired in me and to other people.
I think that's a very beautiful way to put up with my constant lateness. It's very beautiful. I don't know if our audience members feel the same way about people being late. Yeah. It's like normally everyone's number one pet.
I mean, this season is like, what, 3-4 months late? So
Yeah, but we've created a relaxed state of being.
yeah, exactly. You don't have to listen to our podcast. You can listen to other podcasts. Just don't.
Just only listen to our podcast. So if we're going to sum up this episode, we're going to say that we are going to try and be more liberal in what we accept from those in our friendship groups.
Yeah, I think so.
Which obviously sounds nuts because on paper we are liberal, accepting human beings, but maybe upon evaluation we're not as accepting.
We're
as
not,
we,
yeah.